Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you're all well, happy, good. I am. We're starting to have some slightly nicer days at the moment. The temperature's just coming up a bit. Haven't put the heating on at all today. Yay! It's getting a bit lighter. Oh, love it. Right, I'm just going to get some cooking on and then we can have a bit of a catch up. I'm doubling up. Same thing, but doubling up. I'm doing a curry using the leftover cauliflower from when I made the soup the other day, which, by the way, that sort of florets and mustard soup, gorgeous, so gorgeous. I had a portion that day that I made it with you. I reheated a portion later on. And I put a portion in the fridge and I had it the next day, lovely. And then my usual thing is 2 portions for the freezer, did that. I've taken a portion out of the freezer. I didn't have any yesterday, so I had it, it wasn't like Monday, Tuesday, didn't have it Wednesday. So I've taken one out, I'm going to have it again today. It's so lovely. Now, as I mentioned, I had a fair bit of that cauliflower left over. So great, I'm actually going to get 2 curries out of it, which should portion up at around about either 3 or 4 portions each. So either 6 or 8 portions. And I'm chuffed because cauliflower isn't cheap. Part of the reason for that is you just don't get so many heads of cauliflower per hectare of land. And that got me thinking also about my own cooking over the last few years when I had the garden. I've hardly cooked with cauliflower for 10 plus years because I didn't grow it. I grew it one year and it was lovely, but the reason I didn't grow it was because it just doesn't earn its keep in the garden in terms of, so my beds used to be 6 metres by 4 metres, and on the 4 metres that's where I did my rows. So 4 metre rows going on for 6 metres. And with something like a cauliflower, I would get maybe 4, maybe 5 into one of those 4 metre rows. Whereas something like purple sprouting broccoli, I would get 8 in there and it's a cut and come again. Something like cavallo nero, I could probably get 10. I could even push it to 11 or 12 in one row. So you see, when you're sort of like aiming for self-sufficiency, you really need to get the most out of the land. And if a row is going to give me 4 plants as opposed to a row that's going to give me 10 plants, I'm obviously going to go for the row that I can get 10 plants in. So like I said, I did grow them one year and they were lovely, but for the amount of space they take up, visualising it sort of as you're, oh, let's get the kettle on, I want to make some stock up. If you visualise it as being at least, we'll go feet and inches, I know people like feet and inches for the garden for some reason, a couple of feet, each plant needs a good couple of feet. Anyway, so it's really lovely to be cooking with cauliflower again. Now that I'm buying all my veg, I buy whatever I like, yay! And I thought about the curry because if you remember last year, I had that, I thought it was going to be a recipe box with all the ingredients in. It turned out just to be condiments, but it was a Goan cauliflower curry. And although it wasn't great, and I certainly wouldn't buy the kit again, having cauliflower in curry after not having it for 14 or 15 years was lovely. So I was thinking of that today. So that's gone in. This isn't a recipe video, by the way. This is going to be a little just chatty catch up. I just happen to be getting on with 2 things at once. So the cauliflower's gone in. It's ended up being, I think, about 250 grams in each. Great. And I'm adding to it chickpeas. Then I've already prepped, these are my bags of mushrooms. They're just very roughly chopped, quite chunky, but they'll go in right at the last minute, they'll go in for about the last 5 minutes of cooking. So they start to cook down a bit, but they still have that lovely bite. So this is actually going to be quite a nice bitey curry, because the cauliflower and the chickpea will stay a little bit al dente. The mushrooms will be nice and they will be squishy, but they'll probably chewy. And then what I'm going to add, and I'm chuffed to finally have some, reaching into the fridge, I'm going to be adding some, can't see it through the plastic, this is edamame beans. This is kind of juvenile soya beans. Now, they're not that easy to get in the UK unless, if you're lucky enough to live near an Asian supermarket. And when I say Asian, I mean we need to go further east than India. So think in terms of Thai, Chinese, Japanese, one of those kind of supermarkets. They should have them. The reason I have got them today though is because I took a bus ride the other day. I had a hospital appointment. I'll tell you about that in a second, but on the way home there's a bigger branch of Sainsbury's than my little one, so I thought, I wonder, because I know online they do sell it. So I jumped off and lo and behold they had them, so I grabbed, they're frozen, I grabbed 2 bags, 500 kilo not kilo, not 500 kilos, 500 gram bag was £2.80, and that's pretty much, I think, the cheapest way you can get them. You can buy them tinned. Again, they're quite hard to find. You might actually have to go to your health food shop. I know that Biona, I was talking about Biona the other day, the ones that they do the tin organic produce beans. I know that Biona do one. But I think it was something like 180 for a tin, and the tin was something like 200 grams. Basically, when I looked at tinned versions, it looked like it was costing about £1 per 100 grams, which would make the freezer bag £5. It wasn't, it was 280. So I'm delighted. Now, I could cook them straight from the freezer. Thing with that is, if I've got time and I've thought ahead, I'd rather gently defrost them overnight in the fridge, because if I add them frozen, it's going to just drop that cooking temperature right down, and that temperature is going to have to climb back up again. It just lengthens the cooking process, so that means having the gas burner on for longer. Just little things like that where, you know, save a penny or two here or there. So yeah, I took them out last night, divvied them into their Tupperware, so it's going to be about a cup each. So they're cold, but they're not frozen. Oh, ow. The reason I don't like these clippy top boxes, I wish I'd never bought them, but I have them. I used to have them for my lunchbox for work, so I might have like a little rice and bean salad in one, and I might have nuts and seeds in the other. Anyway, yeah, the reason I'm really pleased to get edamame finally, although is it worth a bus trip? They are a fantastic food, a really fantastic food for us, especially for us veggies or vegans, because they are a complete protein. By that I mean that they have all of the 9 amino acids that we need as the building blocks for our lives. So they have all 9 amino acids. Brilliant. So, you know, if you don't have to worry about, oh, am I combining this thing with this thing to make sure I'm getting my complete chain. It's all in your edamame. I don't know in terms of calories or anything like that, but I do know, oh, and a lovely bit of colour too. I do know, well, I think I seem to remember this because of looking up for another friend a long time ago. I believe they're quite low in terms of the glycemic index, which is important for folk who are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. Right. Let me just see. I'm just trying to. I'm talking and what's left? I wrote down what I wanted to put in today, so I don't forget anything. Cauliflower, chickpeas, edamame, mushrooms will go in at the end. I just need some stock now. Oh yeah, one of the things that it was a bit of a surprise and then a bit of an annoyance when I came home and did some looking up. The branch of, it was Sainsbury's that I got the frozen edamame from. And the branch I went to is much bigger than my local branch. It's not one of the massive super centres. It's just like a sort of a more regular supermarket size. I don't know how many aisles, maybe 12 aisles as opposed to the 2 or 3 in my little local one. It's called Sainsbury's Local, or the Tesco version is Tesco Metro. You know the kind we're talking about. But what surprised me was when I was there, there were a couple of other things I thought, oh, while I'm here, I'll pick things up. The thing about, so backtrack a second, because I was coming home on the bus, I've explained this before, I can take as many buses as I like within 1 hour, as long as it's all within 1 hour, or at least the start of the final bus. If it's within an hour of the start of the first one, it's all charged at one bus fare. So because I hopped out, that will do. So long as I think I'd gotten on the bus that got me there, I jumped on it about 20 minutes earlier, so I knew that I had 40 minutes before I had to get another bus. So whilst I was in the Sainsbury's, I had a wander around. There were a couple of other little bits and bobs I wanted to pick up. I thought, well, I'm here, I might as well. And I was a bit shocked. How much have I made up? Oh, I'll just do it by sight. I was a bit shocked. I think I want a bit more for both, actually. Yeah, I was a bit shocked to notice, never mind any offers, I'm not talking about things that are on offer, just ordinary, regular stuff that I buy from time to time. It all seemed a bit cheaper. I thought, am I imagining it? So I went into the tinned section, so like tinned beans and stuff and tinned soup, because I kind of remember how much, when I was doing my research for my homemade versus shop, it all seemed a bit cheaper. Cut to, I get back on the bus, get home, where my bus tips me out, it's by my little local Sainsbury's. And I went in and lo and behold, yeah, things were more expensive. I thought, what's going on? And when I got home, I looked online, and it's true. All the small versions, so Sainsbury's Local, Tesco Metro, they all charge more for the products. Apparently it's because we're paying for the convenience. But I just think, I don't know, it just feels a bit mean to me, because it's all part of the same, the product has cost the same to make, and in terms of shipping from store to store to store, well, if they're at that one that I went to get the edamame, they've got to come past my little local one to go to the other big one down the road from me. They've got to go past it anyway. Yeah, I think that's a bit cheeky. So yeah, just beware of that. That if your supermarket is classed as a local or a metro, a little one, you're paying more than your friends further down the street who have got an ordinary sized one. A bit naughty. Right, yeah, I am going to put a bit more stock in both. I want these, I'd like to see if I can get 4 portions out of each of these, but if it's only 3, it's only 3. That's fine. Right, there's my lovely little Thelwell plate. I use it as my spoon rest, or my spatula rest. Right, I'm going to go fill the kettle and get some more stock on, and then, it's getting warm in here. Let's go and have a sit in t'other room. Give this 15 or 20 minutes as it is before I add the mushrooms. So yeah, we don't need to be in here. Let's pennies off. Let's go and have a little sit down. Oh, it's so lovely to be having these moments of feeling really quite warm. Obviously it's kind of kitchen. It does get warm, but yeah, the days are definitely getting brighter, a bit warmer, longer. Love it. It's weird though, my internal body clock is telling me that it's high time to get my hands in some soil. It's high time to be poking seeds in. It's high time to be making about 1 million newspaper seedling pots. I do miss it. It's only temporary. Yeah, it's definitely, I definitely feel that need to sow some seeds. It would be a bit late if I was starting peppers. Peppers and celery I would normally start in February, but certainly round about now I'd be thinking about, tomatoes, is it time? Don't go too soon. Anyway, yeah, sorry, I digress. It's just so lovely to, I'm feeling it, that, and I bought myself some flowers the other day. My weekly shop came to much less than I was anticipating, and I thought, you know what, stuff it, I'm going to buy myself some flowers. Tulips, it's spring. Right, what are we chatting about today? Oh, well, actually, I'll mention this because I've just been cooking. I was really delighted to see a programme. I saw a trailer for it, and then I managed to see a little bit of it on catch up later on, on demand. It's free, but you have to watch the adverts. The programme is called Batch from Scratch. So it's all about scratch cooking. So you make everything yourself, right down to all the sauces you use. And when you're cooking, you cook a big batch. We all know about, it's time saving, it's money saving, etc., etc. And when I saw the trailer for it, the advert for it, I thought, brilliant, about time too, because I don't know what it's like in other nations, but us Brits, we seem to love cookery on telly. There's so much of it, whether it's competitive stuff like MasterChef, Celebrity MasterChef, Great British Bake Off, there's tons of it. And then we've got all the sort of the personality chefs, so there'll be Jamie doing something and James Martin has his shows, and you get the drift. There are tons of cooking shows. And I know that Jamie, I can't remember Jamie's surname suddenly. You know who I mean. What? Blank. I know that he has done either one series or two series of meals that cost less, or even things like meals for £1 or something like that. However, I think the TV programmers, producers have been missing a trick on this one for quite some time, excuse me, of having a TV cookery show that's, can be really basic stuff. It doesn't have to be fancy pants chefy stuff, but cooking basics like on this show, shepherd's pie, lasagna, chili, whatever it is, cooking good basic family fare that everybody in the family can eat, that is relatively inexpensive to make if you do everything yourself, that can be batch cooked, it can be frozen, so midweek when everyone's really busy, and that's the whole point, isn't it? When everyone's really busy, you bring it out the freezer, get it cooked, everyone's eating, and everyone can sit down at the table together to eat. So I was really, really delighted that finally that sort of show was going to be on our TV screens. So I watched it. I didn't watch it all. I watched half of it. Oh, I couldn't bear it. It was, I get why they did it, but it's like they chose the worst family possible. I don't mean worst family, they're not bad people, I don't mean that way, but just the worst in terms of meal planning, their shopping. This family, they go food shopping 50 times a month. Their shopping bill was through the roof, they're living on takeaways, they eat the same stuff all the time, it's all ready and easy stuff, massively over-processed, barely a fresh veg in sight, etc. You get the picture. Now, I think the producers find these families on purpose because it's the dramatic change, isn't it? And that's what's going to hook viewers. Oh, they're so terrible. Oh, now they're so brilliant. It's drama. it makes for better TV. I think that's what they think. For me, it doesn't make for better TV, but never mind. I don't think that show's aimed at me, or many of us for that matter. But yeah, it was pretty appalling what that family were eating, God love them. I think there were, as far as I watched, like I said, I watched one half, as in half an hour. And then I just, I can't be bothered. It's, you know, it's taking coals to Newcastle for me. But they had a chef, a cook in with the mum of the family showing, okay, this is how you can make one basic sauce. It's the kind of a meat-based sauce. So you could use it for spag bowl, chili. In this case, they did a lasagna and the shepherd's pie. You know, great, this family are learning these things, and it will save them a load of money and hopefully some time too. But I think what was a shame about it was that the actual cooking bit, it was really rushed. It was all done, both dishes were done in maybe 5 minutes or so. I think the programme would be better if they could expand on the actual cooking, so that, you know, there are people out there who are nervous in the kitchen, who've not had a mum or a gran or someone else, it doesn't have to be female for goodness sakes, sort of teaching them how to do things in the kitchen. So they're not confident, they don't know where to begin, and so it's easier to buy a ready meal or something. This is not a judgment on anyone. So I thought, yeah, if they expanded on the cooking bit for those people who are nervous, who are total beginners, it would have been much more useful, and just less of the... Obviously, it's important that we know what the family are doing to start with, so we can see the change at the end. But we really don't need to go into all the sob stories, the life stories of this couple. It's just not necessary. We don't need to know that. What we need to know is how to batch cook food from scratch. Anyway, give it a watch if that sort of thing interests you. Like I said, I won't be watching again, but even though I think the way they've formatted it is a bit sort of, you know, reality TV drama, even so, I think it's great that it's on telly, because at least it just sparks that thought in people. You know, anything we can do to help each other to save a bit of money and eat well, etc., etc., I'm all for that. What have I written here? Little notes. Oh yes, so the reason I was on a bus the other day, excuse me more, was I've had my annual breast appointment. I won't tell you what I call it. It's I use slang, it begins with T. But it's the family history breast clinic for this sort of southeast part of London. It's a fantastic service. I have, as a bare minimum, I have annually a mammogram. I can have ultrasound if it's called for. I have access to a psychologist. I have access to a nurse specialist. The psychologist in particular because it's a family history clinic. So they're treating women who don't actually have breast cancer, but who have it in the family. And so there are prophylactic things that can be done. There are prophylactic choices, such as having a prophylactic mastectomy. And that's why they have the psychologist there, ready and able to step in and help. Not to make the decision, but to cope with the decision once it's been made. I've opted to not have a mastectomy prophylactically, but I am very, 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 very watchful. So it's a brilliant service, and I wanted to mention it apart from the fact of it's my annual reminder to everyone to just give yourself a good feel up every now and again, monthly ideally. Men too, both you know, men need to check their breast area as well and into the armpit, but also in terms of, you know, all your downstairs bits too. If you're not sure how to do a self-exam, there's tons of stuff online with diagrams you can follow. But yeah, it's my annual reminder to all of you to check all your bits and bobs out regularly. But I also wanted to mention it because, having talked about the nightmare I've been having with my GP practice, No, still haven't had my bloods done. And people have been saying, don't they have printers there? Surely there's more than one printer. They've got printers. The printers aren't broken. I don't really understand it, but the computer won't talk to the... Anyway. So as a counterpoint to that, the staff at this family history clinic are brilliant. They're amazing. So I walked in. I was just botting up for time. Because... keeping half an hour in time, I've got hot stuff on the stove. As I was walking through the hospital, it's not my other... Anyway, as I was walking through the hospital, I heard, Vivi, is that you? Look, it's a colleague from when I used to work at Great Ormond Street, and he left there... When did he say? It's sometime after COVID. So he's left Great Ormond Street, and he's now working at the hospital where I was going for my family history clinic. And it was just such a wonderful surprise. I was overjoyed to see him. A fantastic guy. We had massive hugs. He was on his way to deal with a patient though, so we couldn't really stop and talk. It was like, and I was kind of right up against it for the time for my appointment. Anyway, I arrived at my appointment, but also I was bursting for a wee. And if I hadn't seen Ben, I would have arrived in time. So I was doing my stuff at the counter, and they were smiling. This is the reception. They were smiling. Hello, how can we help you? Do you have an appointment? What time is it? What's your name? I told my name. She said, oh yes, we're expecting you. I just need to check some details with you. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm bursting for a wee. Do you mind if I... She went, oh yeah, go to the toilet. We're not going anywhere. So I came out. It was just smiles and, you know, just helpful and kind and nice. So I sat in chairs, and I think my appointment was for 2:30. They called me at 2:35, so they were running pretty well on time. My radiographer, she was lovely, absolutely brilliant. I had a couple of questions for her. Brilliant. She's like, yeah, I'm here for you. What do you want to know, etc., etc. Really skilled radiographer as well, because I have in the past... You know, it's like as you approach the machine, you get into weird positions, and then they tweak it and turn you a bit and do this. She was so spot on. She said, right, 1 step forward, 1 inch to your right, 45 degrees, slight lean, stick your bum out, in, first time, done. She's brilliant. So yeah, hoorah, hoorah. You know, the NHS, there are amazing staff members in the NHS. Let us not knock the NHS, like blanketly knock it. There are some amazing people working there. And oh, hang on a sec, that's my alarm for... I'm just going to go and see. I'm going to go and poke a collie and see if they're soft enough for me to add mushrooms. Hang on a tick. I think that curry is going to be my best curry ever. Just had a taste. Oh my goodness. Great combination, the cauliflower, chickpea, edamame and mushrooms. The broth, because I've been using mushrooms recently a lot, well, exclusively mushrooms in my curry now instead of any corn. It's a whole lot cheaper, way less processing, all that kind of stuff. But it makes the broth really, really unctuous, really dark and rich. And, I mean, the broth, it's basically I make a paste to begin with from oil and tomato paste, crushed garlic and all my different spices. So there's all of that with a bit of stock, and then all that leaches out of the mushrooms, so it goes really dark brown, the broth. Oh, it's yummy, yummy. Oh, that's not supposed to be for dinner tonight. I've got, what have I put in the fridge from the freezer? I think fasolada. I might have curry tonight. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, so sorry, I cut myself off with the alarm. So now, just to say, the mushrooms have had about 3 or 4 minutes in there with the heat on. Now the heat's off completely, lids on, because they're Dutch ovens, they'll carry on cooking for sort of 5-10 minutes. It'll all start to mush down. Can't wait. But what I was saying before my timer pinged, let's remember that the NHS is it's a behemoth of an organisation. So there are bound to be the odd one or two that are, but generally so many people that I've dealt with in the NHS have been absolutely wonderful and caring, despite the fact that they're rushed off their feet and understaffed, etc., etc. Wonderful, wonderful human beings. And let's remember, this service I have, it's a free screening service. It's a free service. I'm getting that monitoring for free, which is brilliant. So a big hurrah to all the staff at the breast clinic at King's Hospital. Brilliant. Right, now let's wrap up because I'm mindful of time. This is something. Oh, hurry up. I'll try and go really quickly. As you know, I've given up sugar. That's part of my... I keep saying it's not a New Year's resolution. It's a New Year's resolution, isn't it? These maybe life changes would be a better description. So back at the end of last August, I started to make some life changes, some habit changes. One of which was to cut sugar out. And to show you what a good girl I'm being, I had... was it about a week and a half ago, I ordered some pen refills, some refills for my writing pens. What other pens are there, Vivi? I ordered some refills, and as you know, I don't use the big Smile company that treats their staff miserably. I always try to go directly to a company that's not them, preferably a smaller company. So this is a smaller company, and it's typical of smaller companies that when you receive an order, there's something a little bit extra, a little bit quirky that comes with your order that sets them apart from the giants like Amazon. So my pen refills arrived, and my invoice had a really cute little paper clip that looks like a fox, keeping that to use again. And it came with a little packet of love hearts. Once upon a time, just a few months ago, if I opened the post and saw that, I wouldn't even look in the envelope, get the invoice out or do anything like that. I would have scoffed those within 2 minutes. They're so tempting. I really, really want to eat one, but I know that for my health, I am better off without it. I'm not telling anyone else what to do. This is just for me. I don't want to end up with diabetes. The older we get, the more tired all our organs get, and they're less able to... What we once did when we were 20 and got away with, as we get older, as we get into our 50s, you're not going to get away with that same nonsense anymore. For example, in my 20s, I could go out clubbing all night till 5 a.m, drinking, dancing, go home from the club at 5 a.m, have a shower, bath, whatever, gobble a bit of breakfast and go to work for 7 a.m. There's no way I could do that now. Honestly, if I went clubbing, if I was out dancing and drinking till 5 a.m, I'd probably need a week in bed to get over it. Anyway, so yeah, same with the sugar. All of our bodies get less able to tolerate things as time goes by. I don't want to put extra strains on my body, so that's why the sugar has gone. And I'll put it in the food bank. They've been sitting around my home for, like I said, it's like a week or more, and I haven't touched them. Oh, can someone rub my halo? I'm kidding, I'm not a saint, not by any means. Right, last things last. Bit of a disappointment, a bit of a moment. I had geared up all week. I picked for various evenings. I had a couple of evenings where I'd chosen ahead of time which DVDs I would watch, and this one coincided with a night when I was having one of my favourite meals, which is my pasta bolognese thing with a little bit of grated cheese on the top. It's one of my favourite. Pasta and cheese, I love it. I could live on it. One night a week at most. But yeah, so I had this gorgeous evening lined up of, it was going to be pasta night and this particular DVD. So I settled down on the sofa, I've got my meal on a tray, and I put my DVD on, and that's what I'd chosen. Oh, there we go. Like, I'd chosen Frida for this particular night. The DVD wouldn't play. It wouldn't play no matter how much I fiddled with it, tried to jump around. I think there must be just a fatal scratch on it. I couldn't sit. Yeah, a fatal scratch. Look, that's the issue, isn't it? When you buy something secondhand, that there's always that risk that it's going to be a bit broken. It's broken. Now I think I can put the case. I don't know if it's recyclable, the case. But anyway, look, the point is, I think this was one of a charity shop in a different village where I'd found 3 for £2. So 2 of them worked. It's a donation to charity, isn't it? I was really disappointed. I may, if I see it on when I'm out and about again, I may pick it up and watch. So instead, I went and found a different DVD in my little pile. And ever since I mentioned Shetland, excuse me, a lot of folk had said, oh, but you know, also, so I've been looking for Shetland, the DVDs, when I'm out and about. I've only seen series 1 and, was it 1, 3 and 4? I haven't seen the ones I haven't seen, as it were. What I mean is, the series that I haven't yet watched, I haven't seen those as DVDs in charity shops. I'll keep looking. But whilst I've been, you know, obviously I've been looking, I think, oh no, well that'll do instead. So I picked up, God, it's ancient, what year? I picked up this box set, Inspector Morse, and it's series 2. It's really early doors. So this, I had to look it up, I had no idea. I didn't watch Morse in those days. This was December 87 through till March 88. I was at uni, being an arty-farty. I was far too cool to watch Inspector Morse. Now I'm not too cool. I love it. I really love it. Thing is, I never really watched Inspector Morse. It was Lewis that got me hooked. I really loved Lewis. But then, of course, that vile creature, Lawrence Fox, started opening his mouth. He's one of the actors in it. And I can't separate the two now. I just can't watch it without hearing some of the vile things that Lawrence Fox has said. So Lewis is now banned in my house. But I do it every now and again, see old episodes of Morse come up. So when I saw this, I thought, yeah. So I watched episode 1. So each episode is about 1 hour and 40 minutes. I mean, it's almost like John Thor was born to play Inspector Morse, or Inspector Morse was created purely for John Thor to play. The two are inextricably bound, aren't they? I can't imagine anyone else playing that part, and it's hard to imagine John Thor playing any other part. Class act. And I really like Kevin Whately as well, who plays Lewis. But, well, it was a bit weird. It looked so old. It hasn't aged particularly well. But in fairness, where I was 88, 12, 20, I mean, it's getting on for 40 years ago. That's mad. 35 years ago. What did I make a note of? Yes, so the acting, great, from the two central characters, Thor and Whately, brilliant. And the plots, that, you know, they're twisty-turny plots that all of the episodes, all of the show, that the Inspector Morse stories are always about, and it's about him being, he thinks his way to conclusions. He's very sort of deep, thoughtful, what have you. I mean, it's a great character, isn't it, Morse? He's pretty unlikable in many ways. He's irascible and he's duh and annoying. Great character though. What was surprising to watch this, so style-wise, obviously in terms of the visual style, in terms of costume and set, it was a bit aged. It looked it looked really old. But it was more sort of the direction of the filmography of it. Obviously the actors are directed, but it was more about how the direction was applied to the camera work. it was as if they were trying to find kind of, it's like weird different angles, or we're going to shoot it but we're going to be outside the door and you're going to be in, and we're only going to half see the scene, or we're going to shoot it through a window and things are going to be a bit blurry. It was like they were really trying to do something different and a bit arty, and actually it just came across as being annoying and pretentious. What did I write? Hate the direction. Trying to find new, quirky, arty angles. It just makes it really hard to watch, and it made me feel seasick at times. They were over-complicating the shots in way too many scenes. And especially, so this was episode 1 I watched, which was called The Wolvercut Tongue, and it was about a piece of Anglo-Saxon, a belt buckle, something like that was stolen. That whole kind of like, oh, we're going to do weird stuff, it calmed down. I noticed it kind of calmed down after about the first half an hour of the show. But it was pretty blooming annoying. But I persevered, and I'm glad I did, because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching it again. And I don't know whether it was done intentionally. It must have been an intentional thing, but... So if any of you watch this particular episode, watch out for one particular quirk of it. There were lots of scenes where Morse and, I was going to say Hathaway, Lewis, were in conversation, and they were in front of a window. And there was always something happening with the window. So there's one scene right at the beginning, it's quite an important scene, quite an important discussion, and there's a bloke cleaning the window. I was laughing. I thought of you, lovely Stevie Weavy, doing your window cleaning. He's doing the window cleaning, and there was nothing else to see in the scene. It was like plain walls, you know. So the focus was entirely pulled by the window cleaner. It made me laugh. There's another scene where they're at the cop shop, and we could, again in front of a window. And I can't remember now what was it. It made me laugh though. We're all the coppers outside in the yard washing the cars. It's like coppers do car washing day. So yeah, if you watch episode 1 of series 2, The Wolvercut Tongue, just look through the windows in all the scenes. Cracked me up. Brilliant. So, and that comes with, there's 4 episodes in total. So again, as this weekend comes around, I might watch the 2nd episode. I might see, I've got a nice little stack of DVDs to choose from either way. But it's all part of, you know, quitting the sugar and making myself sit still and relax for 2 hours every evening. It's going well, and I think it's all of those changes I've been making and really sticking with, I think they've all helped to bolster me and hold me up and keep me sane throughout this period that has been, frankly, insane at times, really insane. But I think they're just giving me a really solid foundation for me to be able to cope with all sorts of stresses and stressors that are being chucked at me. Right. That food just smells crazy good from the kitchen. It's distracting me, so I'm going to say cheerio. I'm not going to eat it yet. It's not even quite lunchtime. But yeah, it's time to wind up. I'll see you again soon. I'm just longing now. I'm longing for the day when I can finish a video with, you know, something definitive about this move, because it's still all up in the air. We'll just keep hoping. But until then, let's forget it. Let's just get on with cooking gorgeous food, watching fun videos, laughing at 80s fashion. It's so dated. Anyway, I'm off. I will see you all in the next one sometime really soon. Until then, look after yourselves, please. Cheerio.